Hi, this is the Sohamahos, and I'm going to talk to you today about a progression into higher liberation or Nirvakapa Samadhi. So this is a true tried system of progression that develops. So through the use of pranayama, we can get into higher states, but we can also develop hatha. So through hatha, we try getting into Savakapa Samadhi. The progression is eyes closed, then eyes open. And what we're trying to do is get consciousness to raise up as the breath has come to a full stop, consciousness to move up and penetrate the top of the skull with first eyes closed and, if possible, eyes open, using hatha poses. And the poses lists are essentially, they've been put online on Kindle, but for short notice, we could say that you would want to go through the following order or semi-order for ease of body refinement, with some changes of diet to become more clear, more clean diet. And that progression is standing, hands to ground, Mahamudra, which is seated hamstring, reverse plow to limber up the spine and allow for Mahamudras. Then there's also kneeling, reverse kneeling back bends, head towards the ground. Prone Supermans, where you grab the ankles and arch onto your stomach. Those are pretty much for Christ consciousness, opening the fourth notch. When you've successfully opened the Savakapa in those poses, with very little in pranayama, with some basics in samadhi to the chakras, which I'm going to talk about very shortly, then you can be more than likely your fourth notch, which is Christ consciousness, would open. The fourth notch being specifically the heart center. It would be open, and Christ consciousness would open, and you would be, in reference Christ, either female or male. Non-sexual denomination, it's a term. And that information can go too. Now, when we discuss meditational poses, again, the goal is to get consciousness to move up and penetrate the top of the skull with eyes closed or eyes opened. Eyes closed, if you can't do eyes open is specifically what you're trying to attempt. You can aid with Shakari Mudra, where the tongue is moved into a form where the tongue is rotated back towards the uvula, trying to approximate the tongue towards the uvula, with both either draining or forcing consciousness up and penetrating the top of the skull in Shakari Mudra as you're meditating on the chakras. So the 7 poses that are generally traditionally used for meditation, now we're not talking hatha, but we're talking meditational poses, are laying, kneeling, lotus. We do have to try to get into lotus. It's very important. It's a pose. It's very important. Not half lotus, where it is, you can get into half lotus, which is important if you can't get into lotus. But generally, we're trying to get into lotus as a meditational pose. So laying, kneeling, lotus, groin stretch, leg overlap stretch. You see the yogis with the legs way over on top of the other one. Leg over stretch. Standing and tree pose are the 7 meditational poses. Now, in those poses, we're trying to do Savakapa at least, Nirvakapa if possible, and even Surupa Samadhi if possible. Whereas what we're doing in those poses is we're using the chakras. Now, in the chakras, you can use a tidbit is you can hold 3 pieces. Generally, try to picture 3 different body parts in your mind and see if you can hold a 4th. You cannot, for the most part, hold more than 2. 3 is even tough for the most part. So holding 2 chakras at a time, and the third aspect of meditation, remember there's 3 points of meditation that are able. So holding 2 chakras, and the third point is escaping the top of the skull with consciousness moving up the skull and penetrating the top of the skull as point of meditation. This is the progression that I used to develop Sruma Samadhi. So in those poses, laying, kneeling, etc., lotus, standing, tree pose, groin and leg overlap, trying to use sequences of chakras, and then you move up sequences. Now, as learned from David Whitehouse, as an aspect, I don't know where he picked it up, but from an aspect that was supposed to be taught of Shiva, using chakras 1, 3, and 6, which I'm going to discuss shortly. Okay, and those, and then filling the gaps, which would be the fillers, but essentially 1, 1, etc. And there's a list in the e-guide that I wrote on Kindle or Amazon, which gives it away. But the specific cities or occults, remember there's 56 occults, there's the 49, 7 squared, and then the 7 for each of the chakras that are continued. So if you want to get into that, it's a semi-inexpensive e-guide with showing you the links between which meditational chakras work with which cities or occults if you're chasing occults. Okay, thanks. Bye now.